Guys doing? Hope you're doing great. We're doing good here. It's cooling down a little bit, but pretty hot outside.
This is the first time I've done a live stream from my phone in probably 3 years or so, but you'll recognize this place. If I turn the camera like this here, which I will just for a second, you'll recognize where we are. I think I just screwed up the leg of the,
It's all right.
thing
We'll
here.
fix it. It's
There
all
we go.
part of the
There we go. It's all part of
live
the
show.
all part of the live show. So you saw the Tim's
The cockpit.
there.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Okay, and we'll
Sort
be
of.
answering questions. So let me just talk a little bit about what's up, everyone. There we go. So I am out here because I'm playing tomorrow night. I'm performing.
You're performing.
Tim is actually going to be my special guest as well tomorrow night. He's my secret guest that I didn't announce. But
I'm glad you didn't.
for people that are watching this now, if you're in Los Angeles, come out to the show. There's a few tickets left, very few. Love to see you. Love to meet you. There's going to be Q&A at the show. I'm going to be doing a What Makes a Song Great breakdown. Tim's going to come out for a conversation with me. We'll save some topics for tomorrow.
Great.
And I drove with my buddy Mike 7 hours yesterday from Phoenix, or 8 hours, something like that.
Took you a little longer than you thought.
Yeah, where I interviewed Maynard James Keenan from the band Tool. That interview will be out soon. It was a really fascinating experience. And then it was a grueling drive, though. I've never actually driven through the desert there, I have one time, but it was so long ago, it was 30 years ago. And I was telling Tim, we were looking at the temperature thing on the car that we rented. It was 111 degrees, and it was so hot in Phoenix yesterday. Mike said when we flew in, my buddy Mike Loy, he's worked with me on these gigs, and he's one of my dear friends. Mike, you lived in Phoenix for 15 years, and he's like, we haven't even been in the sun. We've been in the shade the whole time. And it was unbearable. You're used to that, Tim, from New Mexico, right?
New Mexico is more like Colorado weather, but the wintertime in these desert areas like Palm Springs, Phoenix is a dream. The summertime, you don't want to be there, basically. So you witnessed that. You know, cars used to break down in that heat. They don't anymore so much, but summer in these beautiful places is too intense.
So I went out to dinner with Tim last night and another friend of ours, James Santiago.
Dear friend.
And had a great meal at a great Italian restaurant. And Mike and I were joking because we ate horrible food. It was our fault in Sedona and on the way to LA yesterday. So we had to have a good dinner last night. So
I'm glad. Yeah, it's one of our favorite restaurants here in LA, right near Rick's Hotel. Really nice. Old school Italian.
Old
It's
school
wonderful.
Italian.
Yeah.
So Tim, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, I've been thinking lately about how when players used to play and singers used to sing, it's a little different right now. And I'm wondering why virtuosity doesn't get to live in pop music. It lives in country a little bit. I looked up virtuosity, and I thought there'd be more of a definition, but it's really just someone who excels in music or art. It's usually one sentence when you look up virtuoso or virtuosity. And it was always my favorite thing when the singer would sing and then the guitar player would play. Now, these days, it's separate. The guitar players just play by themselves.
Right.
But the problem for me is I love all these guys, but there's not a great song that the virtuosity is part of. It's not
Right.
subjugated into a song. And so, you know, when Tom Scholz played a solo in Boston, or Jimmy Page played a solo in Led Zeppelin, or Eddie Van Halen played a solo in Van Halen, it was always paired with the greatest songs in history. And that's what I want. Will it ever return? Maybe, maybe not, but that's what I want.
So I talked with, when I interviewed Chris Novoselic and Kim Thiel last week. I have not put the interview out yet, but we talked. I'm not sure if we talked about this in the interview about the misconception that there were no solos in grunge songs, because all grunge songs had solos, right? And here's talking to the guitar player from Soundgarden. He played solos in a lot of their songs, and there was a joke at the end of my Matt Cameron interview where because Kim wah-wahs with his left foot. Now, do you wah-wah with your right or left foot?
Right foot.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
great.
Matt said, I said to Matt that Kim told me that, and Matt says he does not. And then we laughed so hard about it. They kept the cameras rolling when we were talking about it. It was very, very funny. But then in the comments section, there were so many comments, which is cool because I know that people watched the video till the end, the whole Matt Cameron interview, because so many people said that they wah-wah, and a lot of my friends were writing to me, I wah-wah with my left foot and play guitar with my right hand.
I did
Who knew?
I did a Bruce Springsteen session once, and he got on the subject. He looked at my wah-wah pedal and he said, "Man, I tried one of those once. Man, I just found myself wahing and wahing and wahing and wahing." Anyway,
It's
I don't even use one anymore. I don't put one in front of me because nobody wants a
Nobody
wah
wants a
anymore.
wah, right?
Yeah, and
That's
I kind of don't blame them.
a relic of the past. In case anyone needs one, I have an extra ticket to. I lost that. Then somebody has an extra ticket to something. To what? To my show tomorrow night. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, third row. Yeah,
There we go.
Yeah,
Right to Uncle
somebody
Left
wants
Eye.
that. Yeah, thank you.
Megadeth has
Rick.
plenty of virtuosity, but Megadeth is a band that's been around for 35 years. You know,
Well, and Journey is doing it. Everybody's doing it right now too.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
these are the bands, the legacy bands.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just wondering if there's going to be some new kids. My hope would be the pandemic has created a secret army of new guitar players, both male and female, that some of whom will become charismatic rock stars. And maybe this cycle will start again. It's a
I think it
secret
will.
theory that it might take a couple of years.
I think it will.
Wouldn't that be great?
It's
But it requires great songs. That's what I'm missing. It's the great song. It takes a lot of work to write a great song, and people aren't working that hard at it anymore, I don't believe.
Okay, so there's a lot of people that are probably on here, Tim, if we could read the comments, but they're so small I can't see them, that are saying, oh, boomers this, boomers that. You know, of course we're not living in today. Maybe none of the comments say that, but
Well, I can see a few. Polyphia they're bringing up, Tosin they're bringing up. Yes, virtuoso musicians, absolutely.
not but both in Polyphia and in with Animals as Leaders, both instrumental groups.
Somebody just brought up Matt Bellamy from Muse, and yes, you're right about Muse.
But Muse has been around since, honestly, Muse
it's true. It's true.
since the 90s.
That's true, and he withholds all of that for live playing. He doesn't really blend much of that into their actual radio, streamed music.
Boomers, Rick. Okay, there we go. So, interesting story. When I was working on a record in New York in 1999 or so, I'm trying to remember the studio. Maybe it was a Hit Factory or something. I was in the lounge, and there was this guy that was a manager, and he says, "I manage a band called Muse." And he was a British guy, and I said, "Isn't there a band from Florida called Muse?" He said, "Yes, we have a problem with." So we were calling them Muse UK. I don't know if anyone have you ever heard this or no?
No, I've never heard this
He
story.
said we're trying to get the name for the United States too.
Right.
And he was telling me about the band. I said, "Oh, it sounds really interesting." And who knew that it was actually Muse?
Well, they probably had to pay some money for that, right?
Yeah, they did. The
to get
band
it.
wanted like
buy
30
it, yeah.
grand or something like that for the name, I think.
That's-
I'm not sure if that's true or not,
Yeah.
but I just remember having that conversation. But it has to be the Muse. He said the band from the UK called Muse. And I think that they started in 99, something like that.
But that's a really good point. So a lot of you guys are bringing up great instrumental based music, but I'm talking about when the most powerful thing is the song and the singer, and the guitar appears.
Van Halen, how's that?
Exactly. I mean, just great songs with
I
Sammy
see-
Hagar and David.
I
David Roth.
I saw Guthrie Govan on there.
Mm-hmm.
I just made a video on Guthrie, but Guthrie, they're traveling around as an instrumental band, the Aristocrats.
Yeah, some good ideas. You guys, you're coming up with a lot of good
Derek
people.
Trucks. There we go.
HER. her.
That's right.
Yeah. You're a proponent, a champion,
That's
an
right.
advocate.
Jason Isbell is a fantastic guitar player. And
Yeah.
Steve Vai is, from our generation, though. Tom Morello's from our generation. We're talking about young. Okay, so her would constitute that, and so would
Okay, so let me define my definition. These were the most played songs in the world. And a lot of what we're talking about are great bands, great people, but it's more niche stuff. I'm talking about like Billie Eilish level fame, blanket all over the world, streamed on radios everywhere, but it's the singer singing, the players playing, and the guitar player having a moment.
yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Well,
it's
now,
if I can just
okay,
define it.
so I see Marcus King on there. I see. Now Mateus Asato's playing with Bruno Mars.
But once again, that's live,
That's
and
live.
a Bruno Mars record does not have the elements that I'm actually talking about. It's got
Right.
a lot of great stuff, and in fact, players playing, Silk Sonic, they actually are doing that. There are players
That's right.
playing, which is wonderful. So
Yeah, and
great
and,
example.
and the guitar works so well live as a feature instrument.
Truly.
And that's the thing that I think that when a lot of the pop groups are going out there, they look for guitar players to make the shows more interesting.
So what I'm wishing for is virtuosity in service of a great song, and let's just see if that comes back to us at some point.
Wow.
Yeah, the Demi Lovato thing, Nita Strauss. Now she's choosing to actually have a rock band. Pete Thorne's friend is playing drums. I can't remember her name right now, and girlfriend, and it's a rock band. So that's what I'm talking about. That is actually maybe the beginning of this. They have a rock band. They're going to tour and play rock songs.
I mean, maybe it's happening right now.
Maybe
Tim,
it's happening right now.
and we're at the beginning of it.
Yeah,
and
that'd be nice.
So I want to address a couple things here. So for those of you, I didn't make a video this week. For those of you that thought I was, that my last video was my last video. Obviously, it's not. No, I think I did put out one other video since then. I did my live stream last week. I did my live stream on a Journey song, on the song "Still They Ride," which I love, and Journey is a perfect example of a band that has always had a feature for the guitar.
Always.
Every song. Solos you could sing, but that would have flashes of virtuosity, which is like Van Halen. And that's really the style of those virtuoso players. Tom Schultz, he would have flashes of virtuosity, and that's what made the playing, I think that's what made the song so exciting as well.
At the same time, the thing that delivered the music to everybody and made them huge was the song. It was the great song. Those records could not have been released without incredibly hard work and development of great songs. At least one per record. One single or two, three singles per record. It was the song. I mean, and they took it seriously.
What do you think about the competition, if you will, between the lead singers and lead guitarists of all these bands? Let's think of Steven Tyler and Joe Perry. They'd be at each other's throats, or Mick and Keith, or Eddie and David Lee Roth, or whoever. I mean, they'd be butting heads all the time.
Okay, so that's the other thing that doesn't quite exist in the same way. Bands were time bombs. There was tension, so much tension and creativity. It was a container that all of these huge talents were in, and they were all at each other's throats some of the time, working together some of the time, kind of jockeying for more credit some of the time, and that's what made it great.
Do you think that we'll ever see those kind of documentaries, like the making of Pump, or the making of the Metallica Black Album, or the making of, people used to make documentaries of the making of their records?
Yeah.
That used to be a thing. But I think the way that records are made now, let's do this drum part. Okay, hang on. Come back in 3 hours after we've cut every drum every 16th note up and moved them around.
It's just people looking at screens all the time. That's all it is. I've heard people say that. It's like just a bunch of people looking at screens all the time.
Is
It's
Nuno
different.
still playing with Rihanna? I don't know. I think he might be.
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah, when there's a tour,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, perfect example. But I mean, these bands, you can bet that these guys in their minds are going, I can't wait to quit this band, but they don't because they know it's still the best place for them to be.
I mean, a lot of people are mentioning bands that are, you know, I saw Mike McCready from Pearl Jam. I mean, once again, a band that's 30 years old.
Yeah, and these bands, some of them, I was watching Journey actually on video this morning. Interestingly, Neil played his PRS the entire time. It's custom PRS. That's his signature model with the Floyd Rose and the sustainer. Kind of a big
I
guitar.
didn't know
with
that they had
F-holes
Floyd Roses, that PRS made guitars with Floyd
for him.
Roses.
For him.
Oh,
It's
is
his
that the
model.
only one?
Yeah, it's the only one. There might be a couple of other artist models. The thing about that guitar, I tried it. It has a very flat neck because they match it to the Floyd Rose bridge.
Okay.
And I actually prefer if it's an add-on and you have a traditional neck that has a little bit of a curve to it. And then
When you say flat, you mean like a 16 radius or something?
yeah, like just dead
or
and
20
it
radius?
really, I'm not sure, but it really matches the bridge, which is totally flat.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel as good to me. But I was surprised to see him playing that guitar. It's quite big, and I would have thought he would change it up a couple of times. I actually kind of respected him for doing that. One guitar through the
Well, he
whole show.
plays so many different guitars.
Yeah.
When he's doing his, you know, if you watch Neil on Instagram, he's got 15 different guitars every week.
Well, I know that he buys like a lot of like 5 Andersons at a time.
Well, you get a better deal in bulk.
Yeah, he's just got tons of guitars.
Ian Thornley is a fantastic guitar player,
Fantastic.
and singer, and an incredibly great person.
And once
too.
again, I'm qualifying this. If it's a huge song worldwide, I can't say on the radio because what do you say? Streamed worldwide, you know?
Streamed worldwide.
Yeah, a huge song. That's the vehicle.
Tim, when did radio cease to be a thing? How many years has this been?
I think it's been about a decade because you could talk about it, and certainly it's still a thing for people driving across the country all the time. But a lot of radio became talk radio.
Yeah.
Out here, a lot of radio became Spanish-speaking radio. KLOS is. I listened to KLOS last night.
They have K-Rock here still, right?
Yeah, and it's pretty fun. It's so nostalgic. You know, it's great rock.
Now, we didn't, Mike and I drove 7 hours or 8 hours or whatever. We never turned the radio on once. I played Apple Music and Spotify, both.
Yeah, think about that. You know, 10 years ago, you would have turned it on. Absolutely.
But I mean, I'm playing stuff that I never could find I was listening to the New York Philharmonic, Leonard Bernstein conducting a piece of Ray Vaughan Williams, and you know, just the things that you can.
It's the great side of, you know, I pay for Spotify. I started paying for Spotify the minute it came to America, the week it came to America, because I'd heard about it. And it's the most amazing thing to have everything at your fingertips. It really is. For all of the bad it's caused, we've talked about that even too much. But the radio, I think it ended about a decade ago. And you
Yeah.
don't even think of listening to it now. You don't even think
I don't think
it.
about listening to it. So the thing that you were talking about the bad with Spotify about paying artists and things.
Songwriters.
So I've made this point on here before, but I pay for Apple. I pay for Apple Music. What's it called? Apple Music?
Yeah, that's it.
I pay for Apple Music, I pay for Spotify, and I pay for YouTube Music.
Yeah.
Or, you know, YouTube Premium. And the reason is, I figure if I'm paying $30 a month, right? That's like buying 3 albums historically, or 4 albums, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's pretty much replaces what one person would spend on a record.
Right.
You know, records during.
That's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I have Apple Music and Spotify, but maybe I could add another one too. Somebody just mentioned Tidal. Yeah, maybe that's a way to support. But the problem is the way it's distributed and
The way the royalties are distributed.
it's micropayments.
Yep.
And I think the biggest artists get a greater proportional share, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
So it's for me, I used to go all over LA and work with amazing songwriters, and somebody would have a hit on one soundtrack, and they would have a house with a 24 track and be writing songs for the next decade, professional songwriters or artists. And to me, the saddest thing about it is that songwriters don't get compensated the way they should anymore. Songwriters used to,
When
from
I
one song, it would change their lives, and they'd be able to keep doing it and writing songs, and it's
Well,
just not there anymore.
when I went to Nashville in 2013 and 2014 to write with some of the top songwriters there, country songwriters, this friend of mine, Monty Criswell, great guy, great songwriter. I asked him about that, about could people make a living writing album tracks, and he said that they could up until a certain point, really,
Right.
until
Right.
the 2010, something like that, 2012. You could make a really good living never having a hit as a songwriter, but having successful album tracks on hit records, and you can make a really good living doing that. So you were never forced to write songs that were hit songs. And then it all changed when the bro country thing happened, and that was right around the time that I started going to Nashville and writing songs, which I was quickly abandoned once I realized that it's that you have to write songs that sound like singles all the time.
Well, and think about how great it would be if you could show up and go, okay, we're going to try and write a single, but if we don't, the song is going to be so great, it's going to end up on the album, and it's going to help the album, and it'll be the ballad, or maybe it'll be the kind of single that nobody expects, which has happened throughout history, where the B-side, got more popular than the A-side, and it became the number one hit. So think about that. You're showing up to write a song, and you're going, okay, we're going to swing for the fences here, and we're going to try and do something really, really popular. But what if we go in a different direction and it's dark? What if it
Yeah.
turns dark, but it's going to be so beautiful, it'll end up on the album?
Tim, most people that are watching here, of the 1,567 people, their favorite songs, if you go back, are always the songs that are album tracks.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
rarely it's the singles that are
Right.
people's favorite
Yeah.
songs. As a matter of fact, two songs that I broke down in the last 2 weeks here on live streams, "Still They Ride" was not a single for Journey, and I love the song, and it is incredible song, incredible ballad. And then the Steve Lukather song, "I Won't Hold You Back." I don't think that was a single.
No, and then what happens if a record really blows up? Then they start mining the album cuts, and those become singles.
That's right.
Because there's just so much power behind the movement
Yeah.
and the popularity of the band that song number 5 is the album cut, and maybe that's Africa by Toto.
That's
You
right.
see what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah.
and then you go, oh, this is a single. Nobody caught it at first, but it's the deepest single that you could possibly imagine.
I mean, "Stairway to Heaven" was not a single.
Right. Case in point. Yeah, absolutely. So that's my biggest thing. I would love for songwriters to be able to make a living experimenting and trying different things and making art rather than product.
Okay,
basically.
so I want to know if you saw this article, if I sent it to you, about the Capitol Records signed an AI artist.
You told me about it, but I didn't read the article. You didn't send it to me. You told me
So
about it.
I don't know if anyone saw this. Ted Joya did a Substack on it. I saw Ted's name mentioned here. My dear friend Ted Joya. If you don't follow him on Twitter or his Substack, you definitely should. But Ted posted wrote a Substack article this past week about the Capitol Records signed a gamer. Now I can't remember the name. Somebody will know this on here. Signed a gamer AI artist. Now the vocals were, I think, real, even though they're so auto-tuned, they didn't sound real. And this artist has 10 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Capitol Records, who signed the Beatles, signed the first AI artist. All the music was done with AI.
Okay, so how does this play out? What is it like 6 months from now? Is there a second song? Is there a third song?
No, there's just all AI artists in the future with AI guitar solos that have that are perfectly played, no bad notes or anything.
Why not?
Maybe with maybe bad notes. Maybe there's maybe there are maybe it's just all AA artists. I mean, the labels are probably thinking, okay, everything is so auto-tuned. Sounds like a digital voice anyways. This is kind of how people have painted, the producers have painted themselves into a corner by using auto-tune all the time, and the singers. So because of that, now when people have AI music out there, when labels put AI robot music out there, nobody notices any difference, and now they don't have to share any of the money because the labels are just.
It's going to happen, you know it. I mean, it totally makes sense. I mean, everything's going to sound like a video game. It's like just just the boops and beeps and bops and
I listened to the song
whistles.
and there was a video with it. I should make a video on it.
Yeah,
Somebody
I can
says
see.
AI Gary Newman. Oh man, Gary Newman. Devo was right. Devo was right. Oh my God, Maynard. Yes, so Maynard yesterday. So I have been wanting to interview Maynard for a long, long time, and I went to one of his restaurants in Cottonwood, I believe it is. It's not in Jerome. And what a nice guy. It was great. And he took me for a tour of one of his new wineries that he's where he's actually making wine, and he showed me some of the processes of it, and it was absolutely fascinating. Really interesting.
Did you talk to him about Perfect Circle at all?
Yeah, I talked to him about all three. I'm talking about Tool, Perfect Circle, and Pucifer, all three of his bands, and how they differ from one another. And Rick was in Cottonwood, Arizona. I was in Cottonwood, Arizona yesterday, and I was in Sedona the night before. We got in at this is funny. So my buddy Mike, that's here somewhere. So he, like I said earlier, if you watch the beginning of the live stream, he lived in Phoenix for 15 years. And I said, when we were going to get our rent-a-car, I said, does it rain here, Mike? He goes, oh, it never rains here. I said, those look like rain clouds there. He goes, nah, it doesn't rain. So the guy at the desk said, yeah, there are going to be flash floods. And I said, I told you, Mike. So then I get on my weather app on my phone, and you could see him. So then Mike says, oh, it'll look like it's raining, but it won't rain. And he was kind of right. It did. They did have some flooding in some areas, but it would rain a few drops here, and then you'd see some lightning off in the distance, and then it wouldn't rain, and it was. But the temperature really dropped, and it was really comfortable.
Yeah, in New Mexico next door, they have what's called monsoon season, and it's August and September.
Which is what they said this was.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
it rains every day, but they're very short thunderstorms. Really pleasurable because the day is hot. The thunderstorm comes, it cools everything down, and by the time the sun set, it's clear again. And it's probably changing, and there's probably less of that in Arizona, but I think Mike probably just forgot that was a feature of late summer in the Southwest.
Maynard said that it was that there's a real rush when it's monsoon season because they were doing their harvest of the grapes, and that you have to work out there. There's no cover really, and so you can't be working in these storms.
The other thing about them, they're very small, so you could see storms all around you, but it wouldn't rain on you at all during the day, but it'd be over there and over there and over there because they're small. They don't fill the sky like here in California. The whole 160 miles of rainstorm, but in the Southwest they're small.
It was absolutely beautiful though. Sedona, man, it was really cool. Please discuss Cream and what the band means to you. Hey, Tim, did you ever work with Soda Stereo?
No.
Rick, I told Lee Sklar you're going to be at Wilshire, but he's on tour. So Lee texted me the other day. Was that Chris Buck? What's up, Chris?
So, yeah.
Hey, Chris.
Wow. Dude.
Good to see you. So Lee texted me and said he was going to be in Atlanta. Of course, the day that I left for of all the times, right?
Yeah, you need him in Atlanta in your studio.
He said, Rick, we're going to get to hang. And I said, Lee, I'm heading out to Arizona right now. I mean, of all the days, right? I hardly ever leave town.
You'll have to grab him out here next time. Do a live stream with Lee. That would be fun. Do a live stream with Lee at his house.
I don't know why people are thinking our Mainer conversation was not related to the title of the video there. Rick, come to a gig in Philly.
Yeah, I have Lee's book. I am in it in one small space. Yeah, I love Lee's book.
Living in Pasadena for 25 years. Couldn't flood in 5 minutes. I can't. These are so hard to read. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
By the way, my sale's still going on. Forgot to mention that. I'm extending this thing because I'm out of town and I didn't get a chance to make a new sale. So you can still get all three of my Beato Book, Ear Training, and Quick Lessons Pro for 170 something bucks off or so. I'm gonna run the deal through the weekend again here until I can get back and get some of these videos finished. I apologize for not having these interviews done. They are they're the Nirvana, the one with Chris Novoselic and Kim Thale was 2.5 hours I have to edit, and Jack Endino. So these 4 camera shoots with 2.5 hours of video is.
Yeah, you hire a big expensive crew for those, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
I have to because on these.
But then you edit them.
I edit them. Yeah.
Right.
I have to hire a crew. That's the only way I can do these things out of town like that. And if you have 3 people in a video or 4 people in a video, you have to have 4 cameras basically.
Yeah.
It's really.
A lot of hours of editing.
It is a lot of hours of editing. Yeah.
And is that you doing it?
I do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I want to know. I want to move to. You know, I want to see how the conversation flows, and sometimes you'll have 2 different people that are not in the shot, not me, and I'll have 2 people reacting to one another that are in 2 different shots. So this is what makes these things.
And somebody else would miss that. Plus, you were there, so you remember those moments.
Yeah, and I remember what people said and,
Right.
and what needs to get taken out. Do we consider Edge a virtuoso?
Yes, absolutely. Especially after reading the definition. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. New Year's Day, I was listening to that the other day, and it's the guitar solo is incredible. It's not exactly a solo; it's composed. But
We are
it's a
huge.
perfect example.
We're huge Edge fans.
Yeah. In that solo, you can really hear the influence of the shadows, which all the Brit guitar players really loved.
That's right.
And you can really hear it. There's almost a surf element to that solo.
When am I coming to where? Oh man, I can't even read these things. I'll come back through. Michael, what did you say here? Please buy Tim a drink and thank him for all you do.
Thank you, man.
Oh,
Yeah, he'll buy me a Coke.
there we go.
Actually, he bought me dinner last night. How about that? Right? Right?
the
you.
Edge, the best delayist. Have you ever heard that term?
That's great.
That is a new term. That is a
That's great.
that is a. Tim, are you a delayist?
My friend, who's a bass player's mom, called him a beepist.
A beepist. Okay.
Will you make beeps?
A delayist.
Yeah,
I like
delayist.
that. That is a great word.
Yeah, somebody mentioned Waddy Wattel. Yes, he's still touring with Stevie Nicks. That's a forever family.
Edge is not a Brit.
Oh, you're right. Yeah,
Yes.
but I think the Shadows were Brits.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
a lot of the British guitar players
Edge is
and
Irish.
ones. Yeah. Love the Shadows.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up now. I've gone over my allotted time of 30 minutes. You guys are amazing. Anybody that's out here in LA, come to my show tomorrow night. Tim and I will be at the Wilshire Ebell Theater. I'm not sure where it is. Tim knows maybe where it is.
Mid Wilshire, mid LA. Google
Okay.
it.
Google it. 8 p.m. Thanks everybody for coming on today. We'll see you later.